guys, now we're on to a new day, and we're gonna go ahead and get started on Travis's, right there, 700 wheel build. So jumping over to the car, Travis has done a lot of the work himself, which is definitely fine. We're gonna go ahead and clean up the engine bay quite a bit on this car today. It's probably gonna be throughout today and into the week. We're trying to get him his car back at least started and running by his birthday on the 20th. So you guys will be seeing this as we clean it up and get it back assembled and installed on the car. Just a quick look at the car. It is an 06 WRX. Like I said, it has an 07 STI transmission. It does have stage 5 built heads, BC 280 cams, BC valve train. I believe they're actually stock port heads, and we have what's called a stage 3 short block. It is not one of our short blocks that we built. It is just a forged piston and rod stock semi-closed case. So we know we're gonna have some issues with that. But let's just take a look at some of the parts we got going on here today. So over here we have an ETS rotated up pipe that's been modified to B-band because it used to be T4. Over here is the world record pump gas turbo that I used. It's a GTX 3576 Gen 2. We got some IAG fuel rails. We also have some IAG TGV deletes and air motive fuel pressure regulator, the fuel lines for the new fuel rails. We also have fuel lines coming to run from the tank up. Over here we have a radium double pumper unit with 2 Walbro 450s. So that's what we're gonna be starting on here to get put on the car. So let's go ahead and get working on it. All right guys, so our first thing we're gonna do today is we're gonna get the intake manifold off of the car. That way we can get those factory TGVs, fuel rails, and those injectors out. So let's go ahead and get this pulled off. So here's your factory intake manifold. Now we'll show you a little bit more. So here's the intake manifold off the car. You can see we still have the wire harness to take off, and then we can get these TGVs and injectors off. Looks like we're gonna clean up some of this wiring too. Not that it's terrible, but we're just gonna go ahead and clean it all up so that way it looks a little bit cleaner. So let's go ahead and get to taking this apart. There we go, we got our stock wire harness off. We'll set that to the side. Put the cover to the side. Since our customer's doing new TGVs and injectors and fuel rails, we're just gonna go ahead and leave the factory fuel lines attached to these TGVs. We're just gonna go ahead and pull what we need, and that's the intake manifold off of here. Now we have our old TGV injectors and everything. We can set that all aside. Now let's go ahead and strip down everything on here that we're not going to use them. We're going to clean up all the vacuum lines, so let's get those taken off. That aside. We're also going to go ahead and remove the PCB system because we're going to be running an IAG AOS on this, the competition series, so it does not utilize the PCB system anymore. So we can go ahead and remove that. There's that. Go ahead and remove the plug out of the plenum. Have it. Now we have a completely tore down bare intake manifold. So that's what we were looking to use. So we're gonna go ahead and clean up where we're making our TGVs, and then we're gonna start reassembling them. We got the new TGVs all on the intake manifold now. The IAG TGVs really do look nice. So now let's go ahead and get these new fuel rails put on and then start making our fuel lines. All right, so fuel rails are all assembled. ID 2000cc injectors are all in. TGVs are on. Now we are ready to get this intake manifold back on the car. But first, we're gonna go ahead and get this turbo and up pipe installed on the car, and then we'll go ahead and put the intake manifold on. There we have it, guys. We got the intake manifold just loosely sitting up on top of the motor right now. That way we can go ahead and move on to the next step, which is, you can see there, we got to build our lines. This car, like I was stated before, is going to have aftermarket fuel lines running up from the tank, -8 feed, -6 return, off of that radium unit. We also got the up pipe installed, and that GTX 3576R on. It's a Gen 2. It does still have a no-name wastegate on it, but don't worry, we have a Tile 44 getting ready to go on the car. But here's just a quick overview of it. Now we'll go ahead and get on to the next step and start building those fuel lines and mounting this fuel pressure regulator. Now that we got that intake manifold all together, TGVs are all on, the fuel rails are on. We have our fuel fittings, as you can see there, just mocked up. We're gonna start building the lines for those that go across. We also got our fuel pressure regulator mounted over here on the shock tower. So that way, now that this is just loosely sitting there, we can start building our lines over to that regulator and making it complete. Hi, Riley.
Hey. Like that, you're the guy that eats all the drinking, but damn right.
Back to recording. Here's our fuel line that we're going to be using today. So now we're going to go ahead and take these fittings. We're going to put a couple on that regulator over here. That way we can start making our fuel lines. So put that on there. Now we can start getting a good idea of where these lines need to go. We're going to be running this one back to the tank. So I think we're going to end up waiting on that, since we're still waiting on the fuel line to run to that radium unit. This one is going to go over to the rail. So that's going to come down and across and over to here. This side's going to go ahead and get blocked for this time. We're going to start building our fuel lines now. So we have our lines here, and we have the fittings that we're going to be using. We have some snips to cut that tie there, and then we're going to be using a vise with some aluminum jaws, so that way it doesn't eat up these aluminum fittings. Makes it easier to put them together. So let's go ahead and do that now. We got our first fitting done here, so we're going to go ahead and get that removed out of the vise, and then we're going to take that over to the car and see how that fits. So you guys just saw us make this fuel line here. I like to put a fitting on your bundle here before I'm measuring. That way you're not trying to make two ends meet. I like to put it on one, and then I'll go ahead and screw it onto the fuel rail, and we'll check out the length to the other side, and that will tell me the length that I need. So I'll go ahead and put this on the car, and then I'll get that length checked, and then I'll show you the finished product. So when it comes to cleaning up your fuel lines after you cut them, I like to use a nice pair of flush cut dikes. This will clean up that edge really nice and make it a lot easier for when you're trying to put it into the fitting. So let's go ahead and get this into the fitting. Like I said, we're using the aluminum jaws over here. So we're going to go ahead and you see the fitting on screws. We're going to get the second part of it, and we're going to put that in straight to start out in here. So once you have that tight, like so, we're going to take that line, the part that you just cleaned up, we're going to insert that into your fitting, and then we're going to push down and turn. And you'll do this just a little bit. You should feel it bottom out into this fitting. Then we'll go ahead and loosen this up. You're going to take a look into your fitting, and it looks like it is butted up. I know you guys can't see this, but this line is butted all the way up to the threads. So we're going to go ahead and insert this in sideways now. And I like to leave it out just a little bit here. I know these things are losing their magnet, but put it out just a little bit so that way you can tighten the fitting correctly. So now that's locked into place. We're going to take our other side of the fitting. We're going to put a little bit of lube onto the part that screws in to that hose. You don't need a whole lot, just a little bit of assembly grease here. And then when we're putting this in here, you really don't want to cross thread these. They're really easy. They are aluminum fitting. So when you're trying to put these in, just a nice gentle push and spin, and you'll feel it go right in. So just a little tip there. Now we'll go ahead and get this screwed in by hand as much as you can. And then we'll switch over to our wrench. I can't find my AN wrench, so we're just going to use a standard wrench here. It does work just fine, works the same. Just be gentle because, like I said, it is aluminum fitting here, so it will scratch it up or mess the fitting up if you rush this. So we'll go ahead and get this tightened up for you. Here we got our fuel line all finished up. We're going to go ahead and get it put on the car. But first, we're going to go ahead and clean this out. We're going to use brake cleaner and air compressor to blow it out. It is a big deal, guys, to clean these out. If you are making them at home, there is little chunks of rubber in here, and if you don't clean them out, it'll go right into your injectors or your fuel pump, all throughout your fuel system. So for me, the mechanic, and your tuner, please go ahead and clean these out at your home. It'll save you money and time in the long run and a lot of headaches. So let's go ahead and get this cleaned out. We got our fuel lines built that we needed to. So now they're laying right here. We're gonna go ahead and get some brake cleaner in these. And we got our air compressor hooked up into the blower tool. So we're gonna go ahead and clean these out. So I'll show you on the small line here. It'll be probably a little bit easier. What I like to do is take both ends together, like so. And then I like to fill up as much as I can with this brake cleaner. Do this on the side, like so. Shake it around a little bit. You don't really need to, but everyone's technique will probably be different. So now we'll let that drain out. Watch out when you put the air in there, because if you don't, you're probably going to hit your buddy holding the camera doing this. Hi, Riley. So be prepared when you shoot this out. Just don't go full pace. Blow it all out. And we'll do it from the other side. Alright, now it's one line all cleaned out. Alright, we got these all cleaned up, so now let's go ahead and get them back on the car. So we're going to put this front line back on. So we'll start on this side here. Also, be careful when you're putting these on. They are aluminum as well, so they will strip out very easily if you force them on. So we're just leaving these loose. Now you guys can see our finished product of that front line kind of falls back, gets away from everything. This is going to be our return fuel line. So let's go ahead and hook this guy up. This one goes underneath the intercooler pipe here over to the fuel rail. And we still got to clean up some of the wiring and boost pipe in this area, so ignore that for now. But for now, we're just getting these lines built. This one's going to go on the side of the regulator. So you can see, now we have our feed's going to come in here, goes across, and then it goes down to the return to the regulator. This is going to be the return to the fuel tank. We are still waiting for the fuel line to go to the fuel tank and the feed. So we're going to wait on those ones for right now. But now we have most of our fuel system done there. Really straightforward, really easy. It's what we use on a lot of our cars that do make big power. So let's go ahead and get on to the next step. Bye.
Bye.
Here's our wire harness that we were talking about cleaning up. We went ahead and rewrapped it, kind of went through and checked a couple of the plugs. The wire harness seems like it has seen its better days, so I'm going to recommend to the customer that we do a new wire harness on the car soon. So we're not going to go ahead and fix those connectors we were talking about in the injectors. They're just taped up right now, so nothing can get in there. We're going to go ahead and put this harness on the car still until a new one comes for it. So let's go ahead and we're going to get that intake manifold pulled off the car. We're going to get the harness installed back on it, and then we'll go ahead and actually put it on the car for good this time. We'll go ahead and grab it. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up the video there, guys. We're still waiting on some parts for Travis's build. He does have those, and he's gonna get those to us hopefully by tomorrow. So once we have those parts, we can go ahead and get this intake manifold back on the car and get those new parts on so we can go ahead and continue. But thanks for watching, guys. Go ahead and stay tuned for tomorrow's video.